Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast tactical video. Today we continue with the Astra Militarum tactical series and we discuss the role and use of the feared tank commanders within the forces of the Imperial Guard. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast tactical video. Today we continue to look at the Astra Militarum tactica and we touch on the role and use of the tank commanders within the Imperial Guard forces. So of course, as always, if you're looking for more tactical videos, down below in the description there's a list of links for the Dark Eldar tactical videos, the battle reports, all the other stuff you'd like to look at, as well as the other videos in the Astra Militarum series. So make sure you follow along as we continue with the videos. Let me know in the description down below what it is you think. Join the discussion and share the video with your friends. So let's get started. The tank commanders are one of my favorite HQs in the book because a tank commander rides into battle in the cupola of a mighty Leman Russ battle tank. These grizzled men are virtually one with their machine, possessing an implicit knowledge of armoured warfare in all its forms. Granted their pick of the armoured fighting vehicles available to their regiment, they are further entitled to pick their crew from the finest veterans. The average tank commander is therefore a steely, aced, heading up a crew of the very best of their regiment has to offer. A tank commander will always be found leading a squadron of Leman Russ battle tanks, their coolly delivered orders greatly augmenting the effectiveness of their squad mates. Whether directing deadly salvos onto onrushing Xenos, or clashing with colossal enemy war machines, the tank commander and his squadron have few equals. However, for all their armoured might, it is a tank commander's fusion of combat experience and bellicose leadership that makes them especially deadly. These veteran armour commanders will often be assigned temporary leadership of infantry or artillery assets. This may see the tank commander's squadron line breaking at the head of an overwhelming infantry offensive, or digging in to provide close cover for thundering batteries of big guns. Whatever the case, the tank commander's strategic cunning and deadly armoured steel can anchor an entire battle line or smash that of the foe asunder. Infantrymen may grumble when assigned to the command of a treadhead, mistrusting such a man's grasp of the hardships faced by honest foot sloggers. Yet such complaints soon turn to cheers when the commander's squadron rolls into the foe's ranks, all guns blazing and tracks churning enemy bodies to bloody paste. So a tank commander is ballistic skill 4. That's it, really. There's nothing else on there. No, I'm just kidding. They're in a Leman Russ. So the chassis of the Leman Russ, armor 12, 13, and 10 or 11, depending on what the rear armor of the tank you've picked is. But a tank commander starts the game in a Leman Russ tank, leading a Leman Russ squadron. So it can be one tank, it can be up to 3 tanks. Okay. Any type of Russ can be taken as the command's vehicle, and it can have any upgrades available to the type of tank. So it is a character. So you can look out to and stuff like that as well, which is kind of cool. It has ballistic skill 4 and can be chosen as your army's warlord. Now, if the tank commander is the army's warlord, you can only roll a D3 on the Imperial Guard warlord trait table, or D6 on any other table as normal. And if the tank is wrecked or suffers an explode results, the tank commander is killed. So you get a warlord kill by killing the tank, which makes sense. So the tank commander and his Leman Russ squadron count as an HQ choice for the battle, and the commander cannot join or leave his unit. He's stuck with his unit, even if the rest of the squadron is destroyed. So tank orders. That's something that's really cool with tank. No matter what tank you pick, your tank commander has tank orders instead of the company command orders. If you want more about the company commanders, check out the tactical videos in the links down below. The tank commander can roll 2d6 and if the result is 9 or less, you choose one of these orders for the squadron to carry out, which in other words means it's a leadership 9 test, and if he passes it, he can make anything like any of these. Of course, it's really cool because no leadership modifiers will ever affect the tank commander's orders. So you can't have like a Dark Eldar Armor of Misery nearby, or like Grotesquerie or Coven units, having negative modifiers to the enemy leadership. It doesn't get affected by things like that. So in tight situations where you need that leadership to go off, it won't be affected, which is kind of cool. Makes them very reliable under pressure in certain circumstances. So there's 3 orders. Full throttle. The tank commander's unit immediately moves flat out, moving up to 6 plus d6, even though the Leman Russes are heavy. So to get away from the enemy, to get close to the enemy, but remember you forfeit shooting if this is something you want to do. The second order is gunners. Kill on sight. The tank commander's unit immediately makes a shooting attack. The tank commander must shoot at a different target to the rest of his unit. So this works very well when you make the tank commander of a different role tank than the tanks in his squadron. So if you're taking a Plasmacutioner tank, that's a very good anti-heavy infantry or light vehicle tank. And if you took 2 other tanks of the Punisher variety with heavy bolters and they're just mowing down regular light infantry, you can use this order to have the plasma tank shoot at a target that's best suited for plasma shots, and then have the infantry killing tanks shoot at the horde of infantry moving forward. In another vein, if you want the tank commander to be in, say, a Vanquisher tank, which is great against tanks and killing tanks, then you could make that tank shoot at a tank with his Vanquisher cannon and a las cannon, for example, and then have the other tanks fire at whatever other target they want. So it helps maximize the firepower from a 1 tank squadron, so you're not wasting shots depending on what you shoot, which also makes it very versatile because you can diversify the roles between the tanks. Have a tank that's anti-infantry, have a tank that's anti-tank, and be able to fire at 2 different targets every turn, as long as you pass that test. The last one is Strike and Shroud. The tank commander must make a shooting attack, and after it's resolved, all vehicles in the use it must use their smoke launchers. So this is pretty cool. It means that you can shoot and then be in cover. So if you're out in the open and you know that next turn the enemy is going to get out and really try and kill your tanks, you can do some damage to the tanks, blow the smoke launchers, and hope that the retaliation isn't going to destroy your tanks. And in a pinch, it can be quite useful. So as for tanks, you have a ton of options for tank commanders. You have, Leman Russ, Executioner, Punisher, Vanquisher. So you have a basic Leman Russ battle tank, an Exterminator, a Vanquisher, an Eradicator, Demolisher, Punisher, and an Executioner. Now, I'm not really going to go into the different kinds of tanks because that's part of what I want to talk about in the heavy support choices of the Astra Militarum book, and different roles for each tank. But when you're taking a tank commander, I would run the tank commander in a squadron. I would either run the tank commander and 1 tank, or the tank commander and 2 tanks. And I would make the tank commander dedicated, say, anti-infantry role, and then the other tanks the same role. So if it's 1 tank, have it 1 anti-infantry or 1 anti-tank, and the other one the same as the second one. So that when you can split fire, you really focus the firepower of that unit into different targets. Now, what varieties of tanks do I prefer? I've been really liking the Plasma Executioner tank, like the Executioner style tank. And if you do take the special character Pask, which is a special tank commander character, which we'll talk about in the special characters section, I would highly recommend the Punisher, because the tank gets extra rules like rending and things like that as well, or preferred enemy and things like that. So, what are your thoughts on the tank commanders? What do you think is the best choice for your tread-headed, mindsetted commander? How would you use them in terms of gameplay? Personally, I would use them in the backfield as a supporting role, because tanks are very vulnerable to assault by infantry, so you need to keep them surrounded by infantry so that you don't get assaulted by a monstrous creature and then just have your tank commander flipped over. Because after all, he is only 3 hull points. And yeah, he is a character, which is cool and all, but still, it makes it a little bit more vulnerable than a character you can kind of hide in a infantry unit or in a chimera and then have the infantry unit. So I believe they would require a little bit more finesse in order to use properly, and would be harder to use in very dense environments like dense tables, like a cityscape, or like ravines everywhere, simply because the enemy would be able to close on you a lot faster, using cover a lot better. So let me know what you think down below. I'd love to know your discussion in terms of the good old Imperial Guard iconic tank commander. Thanks a lot for watching. This is Skari, your grateful host. Check the links down below for a variety of different battle reports and tactical videos, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are on a quest to hit 8,000 subscribers by the end of 2015. Over 5,300 have already done it. Maybe you like content as soon as I publish it, so I'd appreciate your support. Thanks a lot for your time. This is Skari out.